Hey guys, it's Britt and welcome back to my channel. Today we're making tater tots 3 different ways out of frozen hash browns, fresh potatoes, and even a sweet potato. So I hope you guys will enjoy this recipe video. Make sure you check out down below in our description box. All of it is written out and on our website. And make sure you subscribe because I make whole food plant-based recipes, SOS free, every week, twice a week, and you don't want to miss out. Today we are making tater tots 3 different ways. Whatever potato you have at home will work. Frozen hash browns, golden, russet, red, sweet potatoes, you name it, and we can turn it into a tater tot. I will have all the directions, ingredients, and all other important information in the show notes of this video and on our website. First up is the easy frozen hash browns. All you're going to have to do is steam the entire bag of frozen hash browns. You want to be able to smash the cooked hash browns with a fork easily, and that's kind of how we know it's done. Takes around 3 to 5 minutes once you have your water up to a boil, and we're just going to put a lid on and let them cook and do their thing. This is the easiest way to make tater tots in my opinion, and usually the one that I do the most often. It's super quick because they've already shredded it for you and everything's set to go. So we'll just get a bag of hash browns, check the ingredients, that it's whole foods, that they don't add in a lot of extra stuff. That is kind of important. Some sneak in oil, so you really want to make sure that you can find one, preferably with the only ingredients being potatoes. And they're out there. I've been able to find them at our local grocery store where there's only one ingredient of potato. And so we just buy them in bulk and keep them in our freezer whenever we want to make hash browns or to make tater tots. So once you have your hash browns cooked, you can remove them from the heat and place them into a large mixing bowl. We want to let them cool before we go in and mixing them. It's really important because we use our hands here and you don't want to burn them, so let them sit for a little while to cool down. And once we're all ready, we can start adding in our seasonings and our mixture. Now we use white miso in all of our tater tot recipes. If you don't have white miso, you can just leave it out. So mix in 1 tablespoon of white miso. And then here I have a seasoning blend. So it's 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of dehydrated bell pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of fennel, 1/4 teaspoon of basil, 1/4 teaspoon of dried parsley, and 1/4 teaspoon of oregano. If you have like an Italian seasoning or a pizza seasoning, that also works really well here as well. And you can add whatever seasonings you like. It really depends on our mood that we change this up. It's just a nice base. So even if you just want to add some smoked paprika and some onion powder and garlic powder, you'd be in good shape. And so yeah, add in only the seasoning that your tater tot mixture you enjoy. Using your hands, mix in the miso and seasoning until well combined. Go ahead and preheat your oven to 400 degrees, and we're going to form little tater tot shapes. So grabbing around 2 tablespoons of the potato mixture, we're going to form all of our tater tots. Now this one makes around 27 to 30 tater tots for a bag of hash browns, and that's quite a lot. I've also figured out the calories of it, and it ends up being, if you get 30 tater tots, it's 23 calories per tater tot, and if you get 27, it's around 25 to 26 calories. In case you're wondering, I don't count calories, but sometimes it's just good to know that these are, like we always say, these are not calorie dense, right? And so they're nutrient dense from the potato. And we're going to bake these for 20 minutes. You're going to flip the tater tots over and put them back in the oven for an additional 20 minutes. So full time is 40 minutes of cooking. And you could just like make your hash browns and seasonings, but I find tater tots are a lot of fun. And if you have kids or having a party, this can be something a little bit more fun for them to eat with finger foods. And you can add all different kinds of like dipping sauces, which is fantastic. Once you remove them from the oven, let them sit. They're going to be hot. Don't pop them in your mouth right away. You will burn yourself. And then once they sit for just a little bit, you can open them up or eat them. And I'm just showing you here, they turned out beautifully. And we serve them again with ketchup, or you can do mustard or barbecue sauce. So many different ways to kind of make it fun and change up that seasoning. So this recipe you can kind of make millions of different ways. So we're going to move on to fresh potatoes. So if you have a bag of potatoes sitting at your house, I had some Yukon Golds that need to be used up. And so I just cubed them up. You want to leave the skins on, and I added them to a pot of water. Make sure the water is just a little bit over your potatoes, and you can really use any amount of potatoes that you want. I never usually measure, I just use whatever we have. However, I did measure for this and end up being around 6-ish cups of diced potatoes with the skins on, like I said. And once potatoes are cooked for around 3 to 5 minutes, you want to have your water, of course, reach kind of a simmer, and then you want to be able to pierce your potatoes with a fork or a knife really easily. This is how you know they're done. And this is also how we make mashed potatoes. So this is like a win-win bonus recipe for you guys, because we're actually going to make mashed potatoes pretty much the exact same way we do. And then we're just going to make them into tater tots. So of course, like, you can just enjoy your mashed potatoes and not have to cook them for an additional 40 minutes. But again, it's kind of fun, and if you're having a get-together or you're wanting to make Friday night a little bit more fun, or you have kids, you might want to take the extra step and make tots. And so just like we do with our mashed potatoes, you're going to mash them. And I add in a half a cup of a non-dairy milk. You want to make sure it's unsweetened and unflavored. Really important, do not make mashed potatoes with a vanilla almond milk. That would be gross. So just check on that before you add it in. It can be any non-dairy milk. And this is how we make our potatoes nice and creamy. And like I said, if you want to just have mashed potatoes, this is really how we do it at home. Super easy. And so it'll be easier to mash and mix everything in. For the seasonings, I add 1 tablespoon of white miso. And then I added in 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, and 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika. Really simple. This is generally the 3 seasonings that I always go for when I make French fries or mashed potatoes or tater tots. So this is a really nice basic tater tot seasoning. You can add this same seasoning to the frozen hash browns, and you can kind of play around with it. But again, those 3 just kind of always work together. And so mix everything in. You really want to well combine and mash in that white miso. You can see it there clumping. I really just took a minute and made sure it was all mixed through. And the white miso is our sodium replacement. There is sodium in white miso, but again, if you follow Dr. Greger's research from nutritionfacts.org, he talks about how miso has a protectiveness to it because of the soy, and so it doesn't affect your blood pressure like eating salt does. And so we always cook and use white miso in all of our recipes, but you can leave it out or use whatever kind of sodium you're comfortable with. And yeah, I just always have some in our refrigerator. And we have it linked in our Amazon shop which white miso we get down below in our show notes. So once everything's mixed in, it's the same steps for the frozen hash browns, which makes this such an easy recipe to remember. You're just going to preheat your oven to 400 degrees, and we're going to form tater tots. Again, we like to do it on parchment paper. You can use a silicone lining as well. You just want to have some kind of parchment paper or something down so they don't stick. But I just go ahead and grab a baking dish with parchment paper and form our tater tots. This one makes a little bit more, and so it was around 30 to 35 tater tots. And you can make them anywhere from a tablespoon in size to 2 tablespoons in size, depending on what you like. I generally make mine a little bit bigger, but you can make them a little bit smaller and then make more of them, and it'll go a little bit longer. And again, they're cooked the same exact way. So preheat your oven to 400 degrees. It's 20 minutes in the oven, and then flip them over to the other side. You'll see that it gets nice and brown, and it's 20 minutes more. Now you can air fry all of these recipes I'm giving you today, and you want to air fry them at 400 degrees for 18 to 20 minutes, and that's for all 3 of these. They all air fried very similar, and so if you want to cut the time in half, you know, you can also flip them over halfway through and make sure that they cook on both sides, but you can air fry them again in like 20 minutes or bake them in 40. And I wanted to give both measurements because some people may not have an air fryer or not want to use one, and I don't know. So I just do baking and air frying, so I have both for you guys. And there they are. They're beautiful, a little bit bigger. I was a little bit generous on the amount, but they come out so good. The outside is nice and crispy and the inside is nice and soft, just like when you guys do tater tots. If you remember the bag of tater tots that have oil in it, these taste better, I feel. And like I said, they get crispy on the outside and they're that perfect potato texture on the inside. I love these. Last up is our sweet potato tater tots. And I've had 3 sweet potatoes that I had to cook, and so I just roasted them in the oven. And you want to make sure you pierce it with a fork or a knife when they're raw. Stick them in the oven. I did around 30 minutes at 400 degrees. And you want to remove the skin for this one. The last one we left the skins on for sweet potatoes, we are going to take them off. And you can just use the skins for however you want to enjoy them, or if you want to compost them, or whatever you want to do with them, but we just want the flesh of the sweet potato for this one. And so I also measured this out, and it ends up being around 4 cups of cooked sweet potatoes. And you're going to use a fork and mash it up, and we're going to add in some seasonings again. And we're going to make tater tots pretty much the same exact way. It's pretty similar. And for this one, we added our seasoning. So it's 1 tablespoon of white miso, 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika, and then I added in 1 tablespoon of garlic powder and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. This is a really nice savory sweetness to the tater tots, and they get nice and caramelized even more, which is really good. These actually are one of my favorite things that I need to make more often. And you can be creative with any of the seasonings you like. We also have a sweet dessert tater tot for this, and so if you guys want a video on that, just let me know and we can make, it's kind of a cinnamon, like I said, more of a dessert tater tot that we make with sweet potatoes, and it's really yummy. And dates, and oh, it's good. So this tater tot mixture is much more of a wet tater tot batter, I guess you would say. And so due to that, compared to the russet and Yukon Gold potatoes that we used prior, sweet potatoes generally have a larger water content. And so I added in 2 tablespoons of ground flax meal, and this really helps to cut down on how wet the batter is. If you also have extra time, you can refrigerate it for like 30 minutes, and it really does help when you go to form it. Just know that this is supposed to be a wetter batter, and so it does help to refrigerate and to add the flax meal. But if you just have time, you know, for one, definitely add that ground flax meal. It helps. So I didn't make as many tater tots with this because I'm the only one that likes sweet potatoes in my house. So like I said, I used 4 cups of mashed cooked sweet potatoes, and it makes anywhere from 14 to 16 tater tots, again making it 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of the mixture. And you're just going to form them the same exact way. You're going to be a pro at this, especially if you make all the different kinds like I did. You're going to be so quick, and I just put on music and kind of form my tater tots. I spent some time making all 3 of these today, so I was a pro at the end of this. Again, make sure you have some baking dish that's lined with parchment paper, and this is a little bit of a different time in baking. So they bake at 400 degrees for 15 minutes, flip them and give them 15 minutes more. You kind of want to watch these. They can burn a little bit easier than the other tater tots, so kind of check on these a little bit more frequently. But if you air fry them, I find that air fried the exact same temperature, so 400 degrees air frying for 18 to 20 minutes. And if you can let these like rest a little bit longer after you cook them, they get a little bit harder even after. So go ahead and cook them. If they still feel a little bit soft, just let them sit and do their thing. You can even turn off the air fryer and just let it kind of cool in the air fryer, and they will get nice and solid after you let them sit for a little bit. But they are so good. I love the sweetness with the savoriness. I don't know. These were really good. And so I would say maybe these were my favorite, but yeah, they're a hit. So go ahead and form your tater tots. And again, it's going to be a little bit of a wetter batter, so just keep that in mind, but not too bad. We still want the outsides to get nice and crispy and the insides to be still soft when we go to eat them. And then you can add any kind of ketchup dipping sauce or any kind of dipping sauce that you want. Like I said, we do a dessert one that's really interesting with you can even do a dipping sauce for the dessert one, like a date sweetened dipping sauce. I'm already getting hungry again after watching this video. Go ahead and form them, and again, you're just gonna bake them. It's really, really simple. Now you all are set to make some fantastic tater tots. Experiment with the seasonings, different types of potatoes, and have fun. It's perfect for kids, adults, and pretty much any American. I've just been snacking on these, and they are just so good. And so my husband is really excited because we're gonna have tater tots for quite some time now. So I hope you guys will make this. Leave us a comment if you make whichever tater tot you decide to try. Let us know if you do something different. Make sure you're subscribed. Again, I make recipes twice a week, every week, that are whole food, plant-based, SOS free. And I'll see you guys very soon for the next one. Bye. They're so good. Very happy.